Hi everyone, thank you for joining us again on our post webinar with Eddie Q&A. We ran out of time when we were recording our webinar with Eddie, so we've asked Eddie to stick around to answer a couple of questions. I'll get started pretty much straight away. The first question actually comes from one of our construction friends. I think they're referring to when you were talking about the importance of having processes and good processes, particularly when things go wrong or you need to grow and scale your business. And particularly when you were talking about upskilling team, there definitely being a skill gap in the industry, and having your frontline leaders out in the field as much as possible, upskilling your team and making sure they're ready and able to deliver on the work or the projects coming up now, but definitely with the scale of operations in the future. One of the questions that came up was related to that. And what they were asking was, they understand, I think what they're saying is they actually know what they need to do day to day, but their question is they actually don't have processes documented. So how would we know, or they know, what can be outsourced and what can't be?
It's a great question, because we asked ourselves that same question, Sam and I, 6 months ago. How do we know which process do we want to push out? Because we didn't have too many documented processes. We were still in the development ourselves. So I was questioning ourselves as to why are we doing this when we don't have our own processes. But throughout this period, and we've brainstormed this over many sessions with our expert team. Because part of the consultation phase, though, is we collaborate with our clients to understand their needs. Because it's their process, but we've got to try and refine that for them. So we begin process mapping their operations, and we apply our resources to assist them and ensure that we meet their needs. Because when we assist in the creation of those processes, we want to make sure it's seamless and there's a successful transition. We know it's not going to happen overnight, and we need to work with the relevant stakeholders within the business that we're supporting. And if we can keep that ongoing communication, we have our account managers and client managers and transition coordinators always, asking the questions. If we don't ask the questions, we don't know what the outcomes are going to be. And questions, there's no silly question. We've just got to keep digging away. And sometimes, the client themselves don't even know the answers to those questions. So we just got to keep probing and working with each other and trying to refine it as best as possible through collaboration.
So that's the first step. If you're probably going to be talking about outsourcing, is talk to an outsourcer and discuss the process part.
Absolutely.
That's the first step to it. I hear.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one that I'm glad we get to ask today. And that was when you were outsourcing the complete on-site group, the construction business, and this is related to that. How was outsourcing your construction business received by your local staff?
Once again, part of our contingency plan and the mobilisation was, how do we communicate this to our people? So we collaborated with them very early during the conception stage, and we offered alternative roles, leadership and even training appointments. Look, unfortunately, there were redundancies, but we gave plenty of notice for our people. We gave them flexible arrangements so they could seek alternative employment. So, we helped them through their process as well. Look, we now offshore our resources and have improved our efficiencies by removing the mundane, but they're so mundane but necessary tasks. And we've taken advantage, more importantly, of the time zone difference. Because as we know, a lot of the effort is happening, after everybody's gone home, and the construction teams have packed up the sites and they've sent their data on. So we've leveraged off that 2-hour time difference where we're collecting that data, after Australian hours, but it's during normal hours in the Philippines. So it's those advantages that have been well received by our people, and they were on board right from the beginning. They've been redeployed in other roles, and they're thriving. And they had the opportunity. We sent, as I said earlier, that we did send people over to the Philippines to train our experts in Manila. So they enjoyed it, and they thought that, you know, they were contributing to a bigger game, and it provided them with a, you know, a different career path. That who would have thought I would be doing this today, as you know, project coordinating ourselves. So supervisory roles and being stakeholders and points of contact for their team in the Philippines.
So you're saying a lot of your people that were local were the ones that actually went over and trained their actual role.
Yes,
to the Philippine staff.
That's right. And you know, you think, why would I train somebody to take my role? You know, we have to communicate that with them, that the opportunity for them was to, you know, to have a succession plan. So for you to move up within the business, you need to be able to pass on your knowledge and have someone coming up below you. So when you explain it to them like that, you know, they were actually thought, well, this is actually a great opportunity, and I actually get to go over to the Philippines as well, and you know, work with the superstars and meet them and enjoy, you know, collaborating with them. And I saw that value when I saw people coming over. They were fantastic.
So I guess you didn't sort of hide it. That it wasn't sort of hidden in the dark corner. It was very transparent from day one what you were doing. They were a part of that process. They drove part of that process. It was a part of their development. But ultimately, I suppose when you're communicating a transitional change, because we're talking about change for a business, and I think what I think you articulate during the webinar is probably allowing your people to utilise their skills in a growing business and actually improve their skills.
That's right, and we offer other training for those people as well. So we're not throwing them in the deep end. If we do that, we're just setting them up to fail. And if they fail, we fail. You know, that's a no-brainer in any industry.
Well, it's also nice to know you've got some construction.
Absolutely.
People actually do construction roles in Australia directly, face-to-face with people in the Philippines.
Yeah, that's right.
Thanks for that, Eddie. The next question here, I was going to have you talk to a couple of minutes on the value of a project coordinator.
I mean, I guess what I want to say, I mean, if you look at this project coordinator, you know, it's quite a bit of text there, but it's quite true. The other thing that I haven't covered off is, you know, they cost a lot, they pay well, and I'm certainly happy to pay for it, but there's not enough of them around. And, you know, this is why we're going to the Philippines, where we have experts that can, you know, expert project coordinators or project administrators is another term. And we can get the expert for, you know, 40% of the cost that you can in Australia. And that's really the key, because, you know, there isn't enough project coordinators in Australia, good ones, right? And I'm happy to pay $100,000 for a project coordinator, right? Because they're worth their weight in gold. And the thing with the project coordinators, though, is that you look after your project coordinator, she won't even think of going elsewhere. He or she may not even think of that, because we look after them. We give them everything that they need so they're successful. Because if we've given them all the tools, you know, they're going to make sure that everyone out in the field is successful. That's why they're so valuable. They're hard to find. And when you find one, you make sure you don't lose it.
So you've got some project coordinator or functions in Manila. Talk me through that bit, because it sounds like it's an integral part of a business. They're literally worth their weight in gold. And I know, you know, that you've got project coordinator or support staff working out of Manila supporting Complete On-Site Group. What was the journey finding those guys, and what was the talent out there? Do you train them? What goes on there?
Yeah, that's right. We had Belinda, she's a project coordinator out of Sydney. So she's 4 weeks in the Philippines working with our plant manager, Marie. And Marie has been instrumental in documenting the processes that, you know, came out of the heads of the people at Complete On-Site Group. And we've now process mapped that, and we're actually applying that to all of our staff. So we're actually using Complete On-Site Group as our training platform. There's one thing that we did identify is that you're not going to get it any harder than you will through Complete Onsite Group because of the challenges that we've experienced as a rising service provider to the industry. So it is actually our training platform to run them through the Complete Onsite Group processes and adopt those across our clients. So very fortunate that so we do have them documented, and it's been instrumental by having Belinda in the Philippines for that period, working with our account manager Marie. At the time we thought, are we investing correctly? But in hindsight, we know that we did the right thing, and we're ready. We're ready. We've got project coordinators available right now, and they're ready to go. For now, they're working on Complete Onsite Group, and there's certain initiatives that we're adopting for Complete, and they're working well. So they're enthusiastic. They're ready to go.
You were talking to how at Complete Onsite Group you'd outsourced project coordinator roles. I was quite interested in that because traditionally you don't necessarily think of Manila as the go-to place for engineers or project coordinators as such. So I'd be interested to hear, now that I know you've got project coordinators working in Manila, what you expected going into that versus what you found. It'd be interesting to hear how that journey went for you.
Well, as I said, good project coordinators are hard to come by in Australia or anywhere in the world. Per se, I was in the Caribbean, same issue. Unfortunately, when you can't find a good project coordinator, guess who's doing it? It's usually the project manager. All right. So the objective of it is to have these people so we can create our time for ourselves. So look, I was overwhelmed with the skill that that was presented to us and the abundance of the skill. Sam and I would look at each other and we were just sort of high-fiving, take your pick, and that talent pool that was there that was actually presented to us, we were very impressed with the way that they were screened. We used a third party to do the first level screening, which we now do ourselves, but what they presented to us was just amazing. And it was, I enjoyed reading, all the information about the individuals, but when I met them, it even made me feel even more warm and fuzzy inside. Their work ethic, their discipline and attention to detail. They want to be part of a successful organization and they want to contribute. And you can see that, when you're meeting these people. The level of commitment that you get and their training, their work ethic, it's embedded. It's entrenched in their training and in their mindset. And they want to make sure that you're successful.
Being that the education is pretty big over in Manila, and you talk a bit about, or you talk very confidently to the culture of professionalism generally. What about the experience?
The experience, once again, it's their level of scrutiny and their discipline, I guess, for following procedures. Anything, we've got to work with the client and understand what their processes are. We have process mapped it at a general level based on our learnings through Complete Onsite Group. And once again, look, we sent Belinda over to the Philippines to work with our superstars that we have in Manila. And, she was overwhelmed with the people that we have. So the transition for us was quite simple. It was just making sure that we can document it and continually duplicate that moving forward towards our clients, as well as refine it. We've got a base process, but we've got to refine it to the client's needs. And if each client is different, what they want, each project is different, and we're talking managing scope of work. So the project management principles remain the same. It's really just ensuring that everybody in the team understands that scope and what the client requires.
Eddie, talk us through Complete Onsite Group's journey into outsourcing. When you were moving roles from the construction business into an outsourcing model specifically, talk me through the transition. I'd be very interested to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, look, as I said earlier, the issue that we thought was, how can we offshore our services? We don't have our own documented processes in place at the moment. So that was a big question for us. And for us, it was about ensuring that we are communicating and having interfaces. And as I said, we had Belinda, he is a project coordinator working out of Complete Onsite Group. So we got her involved, right at the very beginning, and it was all virtual and providing support and communicating with our account manager, Marie. So that took about 2 or 3 weeks just to get, the collaboration between the two companies and ensuring that we're understanding their needs. And if you can imagine, Complete Onsite Group are supporting tier 1 companies such as Lendlease and Vision Stream, TPG, NBN. At the end, as I said, they're all building some type of infrastructure, but they all want something back different. And as I said, carrier 1 wants this level, carrier number 2 wants a lot more scope and a lot more handover. So as I've always said, the Complete Onsite Group transition, we're going to learn how to support any business if we can get it right at Complete Onsite Group. So we had to focus on having that collaboration at the beginning. And then we got Belinda, and she spent another 2 weeks in Manila working with the team, right? And that was more of a hands-on approach and talking to them about the different construction protocols and outcomes that each individual carrier would require. So it was good to have her there, hands-on. They've got it's always good to be face-to-face, and she provided immense support whilst being in the Philippines. But that didn't just stop when she left. The follow-up and follow-through beyond that, and it's continuing today. So what we've done now is Belinda has now got a couple of project coordinators under her supervision. So she's got that continued support. And as we're getting new clients and new projects to Complete Onsite Group, Belinda's role is to, again, identify the requirements by that client and prepare something so we can then, provide the services for that particular project. So it's always ongoing. And, we don't just provide the resource and then, okay, Complete Onsite Group, that's yours, do what you want. No, we provide that support through our client management team. And we're asking the questions, and trying to help Complete Onsite Group or any other client, because there's always room for improvement. And, if we're helping Complete Onsite Group or any of our clients become successful and more efficient, we're doing our role. And we're happy to, if we're making our company successful, we're successful. And word of mouth is, the best advertising that any company would want. So it's ongoing support, and we've got our team of experts across all functions that want to contribute to be successful.
Hey, talk us through the onboarding process, the bit where I've got these functions and I need to hand over and get performed by your team in the Philippines. You've done it already, so what was your experience, and how does the process work?
Well, look, we've got to make it seamless for our clients. And look, we all know it starts at the sales process. And, we've got to ensure that we understand as part of the consultation with the client that we step through that. There's no surprises, right? So we've got to be upfront and honest about what the journey is going to look like. But it's very important that, we make it happen and make them feel comfortable that it's going to be a process that can take, 4 to 6 weeks before we have that superstar working within their business, and they're, going to be self-sufficient, I guess. So look, we have a process where we collaborate with the client, and we've got to ask those questions, right? And, people don't think about this, but, what are the IT requirements that you use and that you need? What applications do we need to have that we need our superstar to be proficient at? So we've really got to target, all the different functions of any business, right? So if you think about the HR requirements, okay, what's the position description? We have our generics, but really, what do you want? What are the additional requirements that you want your superstar to have? So we've really got to ask those probing questions, and then we move into the HR component, so from HR component through to the IT. What are the applications that you need? Here's our standard package, which is fantastic, by the way, but what other applications do you require that we need to embed within your business, or what subscriptions do you need to give to our superstar so we can, manage that component for you? The next step is also that we talk about, and once again, we have checklists that we get the customer to complete, and asking for who are the interfaces, who are your client contacts, give us all their details so we can build a library and build our process map around all your stakeholders. The next part of it as well is, the responsibilities and qualifications, of course, which we stepped out very early, because what we want to do then is that we've got that pool of resources, and we want to make sure that we match it to the client's requirements, and then we present them with 3, 4, 5 profiles that we know are going to suit their business. But at the end of the day, the client has the option to select 1, 2, 5 of them and interview those individuals themselves. So we want to make them, provide them with the pool of resources, but it's their decision, and we're going to help them through that process. So it's very important that we get that right. Simple things like, what are the hours of operation? What timelines do you want? We've got to get that right. Where do you really think that you need the support of that individual? We all know that, it's probably going to be, a different timeline, so we can support your team while they've packed up and demobilized for the day. So we've got to get asked those questions as well. We mentioned IT, hardware requirements, any other access requirements that we need. So we've got to ask those questions and make sure that we have that in place. Like you would with any employee in your business, you've got to be prepared for them. And the other thing with that is that we want to make sure that, that person is comfortable, the client is comfortable, and we've got that interaction. Because at the end of the day, that resource belongs to that client. And, like anything, you've got to have that period where there's that trust, and you build that trust early. And once again, it's stepped out in our processes, it's in our values. We're providing superstars to our client. And that timeline, in some periods, depending on the number of staff we're providing, that can take a longer period. But once we get the template right for a business or a client, we're placing, a lot of people around the country, or supporting their business around the country, it's actually going to get easier for us, because the more people we supply, the easier it gets, because you'll have a structured and proven process developed for that individual company.